What's up, everybody? This is the voice of YouTube's Round Shadow Vazra here, coming at you with my newest video. And warning, there will be spoilers for The Rise of Skywalker in this video. I think I might have said this in my last live stream I did, which was me reacting to Star Wars videos because I was hyped for Star Wars. I was hyped for The Rise of Skywalker, which with me recording this, obviously I have seen the movie, obviously. And this is, like I said, this is me giving my whole thoughts opinion on Disney Star Wars and the sequel trilogy and what I liked, what I didn't like, and things I think that they could have changed. So, I'm going to start this off by saying that if people really love these three movies, or anything Disney put out when it comes to Star Wars, then you have that right. And if you absolutely hate them, again, you have that right. We're all fans here. We all have the right to our opinion. So let's openly discuss this in the comments. And let's be civil and let's be adults like this. It's bad enough that the Star Wars fan base is known to be toxic, but I know that there are some good, level-headed people in this fandom. So, anyways, let's turn the clock back to 2012 when we knew that George Lucas sold Lucasfilm to Disney, and Kathleen Kennedy was going to be CEO, and Kathleen Kennedy pretty much lied through her teeth about, at least in my opinion, that she was going to pretty much not do anything to screw up these characters. And then it was announced that they announced episode 7, 8, and 9, which I was hyped for. I mean, what Star Wars fan wouldn't be hyped for? Because, we've been wanting new movies forever. Because at that point, the last Star Wars movie, not counting the Clone Wars film, but the last live action Star Wars film we had was Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith. So, 7 years. And I remember this one article to where MSN was like, Darth Vader could come back in Episode 7. It's like, no. Nope. When you're a Super Star Wars fan like me, you pretty much already know that once you become a Force Ghost, that's it. Now, I know that in the old expanded universe, Force Ghosts could actually move on to the afterlife eventually. That has not been revealed yet in canon. So I knew that article was BS. If Anakin were to appear, it was going to be a Force Ghost. Same thing with Obi-Wan, same thing with Yoda, Qui-Gon, etc. And then we got the title for the first sequel movie, which was The Force Awakens, and we got the teaser trailer. And boy, was I hyped. We got our first footage. It looked good. We got our first look at the new baddie. At the time I was like, wait, a new Sith Lord? What? I was drawn to that character because I like the Sith Lords, obviously. Case in point, in the Old Republic, the main character I play as is a Sith Lord. Which, one of these days I should stream that. I love that game. I love that MMO. It's definitely my favorite MMO, followed by Final Fantasy XIV. So, and then the first controversy happened. That kind of shattered the fan base a little bit. when they announced that first they said that they were going to look through the expanded universe to see what fit and what didn't. Not even like I think a few hours later or maybe a day later, they announced that that none of it is canon. Which angered a lot of people. It angered me because that's where a lot of our knowledge came from for Star Wars. And now it's like they're, in a way, they just Thanos snapped it out of existence and they wanted us to forget. And there was a point in period to where there were certain Star Wars fans when someone would bring up the old expanding universe now called Legends that it's not canon. The problem is we still have to use those plot points because they haven't even filled in the gaps. So, to me, the whole thing was a big waste of time. They could have made the stuff that happened after Return of the Jedi and Legends not canon. But they could have kept the Clone Wars stuff. They could have kept the stuff in between 4 and 5 or 5 and 6. And the one thing I found kind of weird is that they made the old Republic era non-canon. Which, that's my favorite era of Star Wars. Despite being a big prequel fan and despite the fact that I love the era in between 3 and 4, which is called, I guess, people call that the Dark Times era. So, because of that, it already made people extremely pissed off, including myself. However, I was so excited for the movie. It did not hinder me with The Force Awakens. I was hyped. I have this rare thing of like, even though that I'm angry about something that deals with something I love, it doesn't ruin my enjoyment of it. I literally have a friend that calls it a gift because he takes apart films and he tries to analyze it, which that's what a critic does, and I don't like critics because that's their opinion. In my opinion, critics are just giving their opinions and they're getting paid for it. So, yes, I do have this douchebag point of view on critics because I think that they are not really needed. But that's besides the point. So, like I said, because of that, it fractured the fan base. But then thinking about it now, it's like it makes sense that they need to do that because there were some books that were written in the expanded universe before the prequels was written and was put out. So pre 2004 had Anakin as an old man, as a Force ghost. And then after 2004, the books that came out after that change in Return of the Jedi, which there are a lot of people that hate that change still, and as I understand because it's like there's nostalgia with that older Anakin to a lot of people that grew up with it. I grew up with it. I first saw the original trilogy with the 97 special editions, so I get it. However, it makes sense. You know? But so I can kind of understand why they made some things non-canon, especially to regards to what I just said. However, the old Republic stuff never really interfered with George Lucas's movies. They didn't. Obviously, the timeline placement probably because I know that in the movies they say that for 1,000 generations, which that's they could be saying that because they don't want to say like for 10,000 generations the Jedi have for 1,000 thousands so I didn't understand why they made the old Republican canon. I thought that was kind of weird. I thought it was, in my opinion, it was a lazy move. Um, what they should have done was they should have made stuff that interfered the movies non-canon. So like the pre 2004 era, which I know that would piss off a lot of people. Well, I mean, let me rephrase that. Anything that contradicts anything in the current version of the movies. So like anything with older Anakin Force Ghost, etc. Um, and then the movie came out. Whoa, no, wait, my apologies. Let me, and then in July, they had San Diego Comic Con. And that was when, once again, there was another part of the fan base that started raging. And that was the people that love the prequels. The infamous reel that they did, where they took a shot at the prequels' use of CGI. That's how everyone took it. That's how I kind of took it, and it angered me. Because the prequels, like it or not, they are a big part of Star Wars. They are the beginnings of Anakin Skywalker, and we see his fall to becoming Darth Vader. And at the same time, too, it's revealed that the sequel trilogy also used CGI, so kind of hypocrites if you ask me. And then, of course, finally, the movie comes out. I loved it. It was a great way to start the sequel trilogy. I did have some problems with it though. I thought Phasma was useless. I think with the type of armor that she has, I wish they would have built her up more to be more like a badass. Instead of this, whatever, this typical stormtrooper fodder. I think I did have slight problems with Rey, but this is before I had like major problems with her. When I actually took time to think about it, you know. And I also hated that we viewing it like looking at it now. I despise the fact that they killed Han off so early. I wish they could have waited so that we could have saw all three of them, Leia, Han, and Luke reunite, but that was one of the things that they definitely dropped the ball on. That they should have done because it would have pulled at people's heartstrings even more. I think Harrison Ford always wanted them to kill off Han, but it could have waited until Episode 8, in my opinion. You know, maybe have Han go with Rey and Chewie and R2 to Ahch-To, and then, when Rey can't convince Luke. Finally, have like Harrison. Well, we'll have Han just like tell Rey, "I'll take care of this. Go back to the ship. I'll be there soon with Luke." You know, and then Harrison would talk to Luke. Well, not Harrison. Han would talk to Luke and all that, and that could have been really awesome to see. You know, they could have brought up their old adventures, and maybe Han can be like, "Hey kid, remember the time that we almost got eaten by a Starling pit monster, and I was still getting over my carbon freezing sickness." They could have done that. That would have been cool. But once again, that's something that they dropped the ball on. Actually, much so. And unfortunately, we will never get that because of Carrie Fisher no longer being here. But overall, I enjoyed the Force Awakens, and I was looking forward to Episode 8. I was looking forward to Rogue One. Like I was hungry for more Star Wars content in terms of the movies. On the video game side of things, LucasArts put out a lot of Star Wars games. They put out a lot of the classic ones. You know, the Kyle Katarn series. You know, Dark Forces, Jedi Knight, Jedi Academy, Jedi Outcast, the Force Unleashed games. You know, they were pumping out a lot of good games. And then it's revealed that they shut down LucasArts and that EA now has the rights to produce Star Wars films, which that doesn't shock me considering BioWare developed both KOTOR 1 and 2 and the old Republic MMO. And then the first game we got was a reboot of Battlefront. Made total sense. I enjoyed it. I know that there's a lot of people that didn't enjoy the game, because it was mostly based in the original trilogy. I personally loved it. I mean, heck, I even have the limited edition themed PS4 with Darth Vader on it. And I still have the box too. And now we jump forward to... Oh yeah, there was one other thing that kind of angered fans too. The Clone Wars being cancelled. They had a lot of seasons planned, and then they kind of took those and they kind of, they made some of the books, and then they have some unfinished episodes on the website they need to watch because it is canon. Which is weird because it's like unfinished episodes being canon. That goes against my perfectionism, that's for sure. If it ain't finished, it ain't canon, in my opinion. But now that we have the Season 7 of Clone Wars on its way, coming out in February, I think that anger has kind of died down. And we got Rebels we got Rebels, which I love Rebels. I love that cast of characters. The Ghost Crew, and of course we have Star Wars Resistance. I will talk about that later in this video. So this video might get a little lengthy because I want to take my time. I want to word things perfectly. And then 2006 comes along, and we got Rogue One. Loved it too. Didn't really have that many problems with it. Actually, no problems at all. Mostly because I was so hyped that we had Vader, and we had that badass Vader scene at the end. And it felt like a Star Wars movie. And that's when I was critical about the Force Awakens, and especially the Last Jedi, which I will be talking about that after I'm done with talking about Rogue One, is that they didn't feel like Star Wars films to me. They were missing something. Even though that I enjoyed The Force Awakens, it was missing something to me. I just couldn't pinpoint it. And I think it's because of George Lucas. I think he... You know what? I'll talk more about that once we get close to being done talking about this. So, I loved Rogue One. Once again, I was still hungry for content. I was really, hungry. 2007 comes, and it's revealed that Star Wars Episode 8 is called The Last Jedi. Okay. Fair enough. That movie, that particular movie, let me make sure I have my information correct. Make sure I have my facts right here, guys. Okay. Okay. Before we get talking about The Last Jedi, let's get back to 2016 and when it was announced that we lost Carrie Fisher, who played Princess Leia. God, that whole day sucked for me because I got sick with this really bad stomach flu, and it crushed me because obviously Leia, Carrie Fisher, and even she knew this, that she was a part of people's lives because of Leia. With multiple generations. And honestly, when I ever have a daughter, I want her to look up to Leia, to Padme, and I'll get into Rey once we get... I want to do a full section I want to do a full conversation about Rey and Kylo at the end of this video. I would want my daughter to look up to them. And Ahsoka Tano, and Sabine Wren, and Hera. It's a shame that she was gone too soon. I wish she was here to see this movie end. Well, to see, the legacy that her, Mark Hamill, Harrison Ford, Anthony Daniels, and George Lucas, and of course the late great Kenny Baker and Peter Mayhew started. Anyways, 2017 comes around, and this review of Episode 8 is called The Last Jedi. And this is when the crap hits the fan. Rian Johnson. I don't really feel myself getting angry. He spat in the face of a 40-year-long legacy. And the funny thing is, he knew that his movie was going to get mixed opinions because he loves making movies like that. And the thing is, he can do that with another one of his projects, but don't do that to Star Wars. Because the Star Wars fans, we don't like it when people mess with something that we love. And Rian Johnson, The Last Jedi, is actually the first time I hated a Star Wars movie. I want to like it. And, maybe when I watch again, my opinion will change. Let me just tell you the three things that movie did wrong. Luke. Even Mark Hamill hated how Luke was in that movie. If that didn't say something, I don't know what will. The fact that we didn't learn anything. Because the thing is, Attack of the Clones and The Empire Strikes Back, we learned something pretty important to the plot of the trilogy that foreshadows the next installment. The Last Jedi at the time did not do anything like that. And keep in mind, Rian Johnson says that he respects, that he actually likes the prequels. The prequels wouldn't have done what he did. And of course, he spent too much time on the Canto Bight scene. I get the message that they were trying to get, and I support that message, but that was one of the things that this trilogy definitely had a lot of controversy for, was that they were pushing political agendas in these movies, which a lot of normal folk hates that, because it takes them out of the movie. Because when we watch a movie or play a game, we don't want to be reminded of that. We don't want to be reminded of that. We want to escape. And hopefully, by how things are looking, maybe now people are starting to understand that. But that movie, and it also spat on George Lucas. And here's the thing. They hired Rian Johnson to make this movie. They approved his script. So yes, Kathleen Kennedy, in my opinion, lied through her teeth when she said what she said, when she promised George Lucas, sitting next to him, that pretty much that they will honor and respect these characters. And that was when everyone pretty much turned against her and how Disney Star Wars was. There were people that like this movie. However, there are more people that hate it than love it. And it's not like the prequels to where it's 50-50. This movie made people realize, and it's kind of sad that it took the Disney Star Wars movies to make people realize how good the prequels actually are. Maybe when maybe the generation after this current generation, maybe they will change people's minds about the Last Jedi. However, they made Luke a coward. They didn't really have anything. It was the perfect word I could use for Last Jedi. It was definitely a filler movie. And honestly, they deserve that backlash. However, the one thing that I always disagree with is when you go after someone that worked on something, even if you don't like it. And once again, a certain group of Star Wars fans were going after the actress of Rose Tico, which she's a very hated character in the fan base, like Jar Jar level of hate. Honestly, she might be hated worse than Jar Jar. It got so bad that she deleted her Instagram account. And that was when the media started to pay attention to how the Star Wars fan base can be. But like I said, it's just the certain part of it that has always done is they have no problem attacking someone that worked on a Star Wars movie or was in a Star Wars movie if they did not like it. And they blame the whole fan base. And that was something else that during this whole thing too is that you saw people at this current era, a lot of people that worked at the that work at these studios or were like in these projects have no problem, you know, dividing their fan bases and talking crap to a certain part of the fan base, and I hate that. I get that as your Twitter. You should also be very careful with what you say too on there, or else it will bite you on the butt. The fact of the matter is, Star Wars has always had this problem with a certain group of fans attacking people that worked on a Star Wars movie or was in a Star Wars movie, or they attacked George Lucas himself, and I think that was one of the reasons why he sold Lucasfilm to Disney. I think those certain fans had. I think those fans pushed him too far, and he decided to be like, you know what, I'm done. But the thing is, those are only the vocal minority. And for some strange reason, people always listen to the vocal minority because they seem like it always seems like there's more of them. So yeah, the Last Jedi affected the next movie, which to talk about the Last Jedi, we should also talk about another video game, Star Wars Battlefront 2. Now again, that was another controversy because when that game first came out, it was pretty much pay to win, and people were buying loot boxes. People could buy loot boxes, and they had purple cards. You know, they had all their cards maxed out like that. And it got to the point that there was so much backlash. And as it turns out, DICE themselves did not want this. They wanted it to be more like Overwatch, to where that the loot boxes were only cosmetic. And it does not affect gameplay. But we all know how EA is, and it got to a point that they literally stopped microtransactions. Well, question, they stopped it to where you could get loot boxes or something like that. I can't really remember. I know that they did something to like temporarily stop microtransactions until they thought of a new way of doing it. But the worst thing is, the game has redeemed itself, which is rare. It's definitely rare, because nowadays, if a game is bad, word spreads, and the game doesn't sell. So I definitely do have to, you know, give a round of applause to EA for owning up that they screwed up. So now in 2018, we had Solo, a Star Wars film, Solo, a Star Wars movie, And because of the Last Jedi, that movie was affected big time. I liked it. There's not been, like I said, I can't really complain much about these anthology movies because they scream Star Wars to me, and I thought the people that they got to play younger Han and younger Lando was perfect. They did a good job with the casting. I personally liked it. Unfortunately, like I said, the movie did not do so well, which is a shame. Um, so that's unfortunate. There was no video game that came out in that year. We had the comics and the books, which I still need to read a lot of them actually. Um, 2019 comes. We got our trailer for The Rise of Skywalker. You know, the Jedi Fallen Order game was revealed to be coming out November this year. And it was revealed that Palpatine was coming back, which got a lot of people hyped, but it also got a lot of people angry because they had to course correct their mistakes from The Last Jedi. You could tell that they were definitely wanting to make the fans happy. And at the same time, though, too, you can't please everyone. And, you know, we got some other teasers and all that. And then there were leaks reported, and I don't give too much. I know that this guy has a bad reputation, which is Mike Zero. And he said about how Anakin had, you know, some scenes that were filmed and that they were cut out because, you know, Kathleen Kennedy wanted to focus on the newer characters. And however, you know, I thought Anakin was going to be in it because, you know, Hayden had to drop out from this. Something to do with this convention. And, Jedi Fallen Order. Oh, yeah, and it was revealed that The Mandalorian would be coming out this year on the 12th of November. Amazing show. I'm ready for season 2. That show was probably the best thing Disney has ever made for Star Wars since they got it. Since they bought Lucasfilm from George Lucas. It's amazing. It screams Star Wars. And in my opinion, Dave Filoni, or the dude that worked on The Mandalorian, they should be the head of Lucasfilm, not Kathleen Kennedy. I say Dave Filoni because he was taught by George Lucas. So, Jedi Fallen Order comes out on November 15th. Again, everyone loved it. So now you're starting to see this trend of good stuff coming out in this current era of Star Wars, to where things are very diverse. People are so weary of The Rise of Skywalker because of how bad The Last Jedi was. So it kind of gave people hope that, well, even if The Rise of Skywalker does suck, we have these other things to enjoy and to consume. And then The Rise of Skywalker came out, and it got mixed opinions. I personally loved it. To me, the saga ended with episodes 1, 2, and 3, 4, 5, and 6. I view this sequel trilogy as just, I guess I kind of view it how Star Wars Theory does, as its own thing. You know, the one thing I was worried about, does this movie make Anakin's sacrifice in vain? I don't think it does. The reason why I say that is because, again, spoilers. When Rey gets her, you know, when Rey gets unconscious because of Palpatine taking her and Kylo's life, Force essence, and actually appearing young again because he looked like a corpse. And also too, he also says that I died before. You know, you had all these different Jedi voices. You had Kanan Jarrus, Adi Galleria, Alea Sakura, Sokotano, Lunamara, Yoda, Obi-Wan, Luke, Mace Windu. I think I said Qui-Gon. If not, then Qui-Gon, and of course Anakin Skywalker, which he said things several times, and his voice was pretty apparent. So, in a way, Anakin still is even Disney says that Anakin still is the one and only chosen one, and in my opinion, he did defeat Palpatine the second time because he gave Rey some of his Force power so that she could get up and kill Palpatine. So in a way, yes, not physically, but spiritually, he helped. He defeated Palpatine again. I can see why people say that this movie screws up Anakin's legacy, and I totally get it because I can see their points. Me personally, it doesn't. This movie changed my opinions about it. It changed my opinion about Rey. It really did. Now, I want to get into the subject of stuff I think that they could have done a lot better in these movies. They should have had the three original casts reunite in a scene. They should have saved Han Solo's death for Episode 8, and they should have saved Luke's death at Episode 9. Kind of like what George Lucas planned Luke's death to be. They should have had Anakin's Force Ghost there physically, because it's still, these movies are still about him. They're still about his family. I didn't like that they were bringing, I didn't like it that they were bringing some political agendas in these movies, and I hate that when anyone. I hate it when Ruby does it, because Ruby didn't recently when they referenced the whole Russian hacking the elections when Trump and Hillary Clinton was running. I hate that. I hate it. There's no other word to describe the fact that I just hate it. And then of course there's the whole thing that I never disliked. They made Rey too powerful too soon. That was people's biggest problem with this trilogy. Luke and Anakin had to learn, and yeah, they had to learn from their mistakes. They had to develop their powers over, of course, their respective trilogies. Rey could do things right off the spot with no training, no effort. And that's another thing, that's another, like I said, when that movie came out, that was kind of the starting point of this weird era of you have certain people in Hollywood trying to push, in the entertainment industry, trying to push their views, but then you have the people that want escapism escapism. They don't want any politics in their movies, no matter what it is. They were pushing back, so it was a constant tug of war. And I'm hoping now, since we are getting some good quality Star Wars content, I'm hoping now the fans are winning. Not those crazy people on Twitter that only cares about, Rey being the chosen one and freaking Rey and Kylo hooking up. I'm talking about the fans that deeply care about the story, that wants to see our favorite thing respected and not destroyed, like what the Last Jedi tried to do. I think for a time, yes. I think that The Last Jedi killed... It didn't kill Star Wars, but it wounded it. I like Rey. I just hate how they made her, just because of her being a girl, because of the whole political climate right now. Because of it being, I do things because it's, again, I hate mentioning politics on my channel, but because of it being the Trump era, you're seeing more of these people trying to push their views more and more. And I hate politics anyway, so when you have both sides of the coin trying to do that to our entertainment, all I gotta say to those people is GTFO out of my Star Wars. Keep that stuff. Here's the thing. Yes, the prequels had politics. However, it was fictional politics. As in, I could tolerate it. It wasn't actual real life political agendas going into it. And that was people's biggest problem with these movies. And Rey, I would want my daughter to look up to her. However, I would also want her to know, unlike Rey, you shouldn't expect to get things right off the bat. That yes, some things you will have to work on. I think Rey is the weakest in terms of character development, out of the three main leads out of all the trilogies. And it's not because she's a girl. I would be like this if it was a Gary Sue, which is the male equivalent. I don't like that. I don't like it. That's lazy storytelling to me. In my opinion, because of that, I think that the true main character of this trilogy was Kylo Ren. Because he was the only one that was getting actual character development. And if that was the point, then, well, they probably should have focused on him. Because I do like Kylo Ren. It was cool to see his development. And, I hope that this isn't the last we see of Adam Driver as Kylo Ren, as Ben Solo. So overall, my opinion about Disney Star Wars, I'm mixed to positive. They definitely dropped the ball on when it comes to the sequel trilogy. Can I see myself binge watching all 9 episodes? Yeah. But I get the funny feeling I will always be binge watching episode 1 to 3, Solo, Rogue One, and then 4, 5, and 6, and then calling it a day. However, The Rise of Skywalker definitely fixed everything that The Last Jedi screwed up. So, and I know that there's a lot of people that aren't happy about that, but you know what? Majority of the Star Wars fans hated that movie. So, you know what? Deal with it. If you liked The Last Jedi, good for you. However, a lot of people do not agree. And I'm one of those people that don't agree. So, with that said, like I said, this is just my opinion. Let's have a civil conversation down below in the comments. So, Make sure to comment, like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell, and I will see you all later.